kind of incorporating my thoughts about what Hispanic Heritage Month means. As I thought about that, it can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. We are a very large and diverse community of Hispanics and Latinos with various backgrounds, with roots in various countries, some of us who have been in the United States for generations. But we share many, many things. But when I think of heritage, for me, I think of my family. My family has its roots in the state of Texas. Both of my parents followed the migrant trail to the state of Oregon in the late 50s and early 60s, actually meeting here in the state of Oregon and starting their family. And when I think of my family, I think of music, I think of food, I think of family get-togethers, I think of understanding where I come from and trying to understand where I'm going. And as I think about my family, somebody very, very special in my life, probably the most special person, is actually here today, and I want to recognize her because she was a migrant worker who had to put off education, because working was more important. The family unit was more important. And she really instilled, I think, a strong work ethic in her sons, two of which have gone on to receive their master's degrees and are working in education here in the state of Oregon. So my mom, a native of Ashland, Texas, Maria Garza, is over here in this corner. So, today would not be possible without the generous support of many, many sponsors. Our gold sponsor, I'd like to recognize Salem Health. Our silver sponsors for today's event, the City of Salem, Chemeketa Community College, the High School Equivalency Program, the College Assistance Migrant Program, and CCBI. Kaiser Permanente, Linfield College, MAPS Credit Union, Northwest Natural, the Oregon Department of Transportation with special recognition for Michael Cobb, Silverton Health, the state of Oregon with special thanks to Mr. Frank Garcia, and a place that's very, very important to me, where I spent probably the best 5 years of my life, the University of Oregon, Office of Vice President for Institutional Equity, Diversity, and the College of Arts and Sciences. And I'm really, really happy, on another note, to see so many people that I went to school with at the University of Oregon here who are active in their community, in education, in politics, in social services. So with respect to everybody else, thank you, fellow Ducks. Our bronze sponsors, Marion County Public Works, the Oregon Child Development Coalition, Oregon Health Science University, and the Standard. And our community sponsors, Farmers Insurance, Scott Santana, Legacy Health, the Oregon Bankers Association, I think it's, forgive me if I have this wrong, is it A&R Translations? O&R Translations, my apologies. The Oregon State Bar, Rural Development Initiatives, Safe Corporation, the Salem-Keizer Coalition for Equity, and Willamette University. So thank you very much to all of our sponsors. Also wanted to recognize some nonprofits that are here today with us. Many of them were out in the fair, out in the lobby. Those include Centro Cultural of Cornelius, once again the HEP program, CAMP program, and CCBI of Chemeketa Community College, the Farm Worker Housing Development Corporation of Woodburn, the Latino Network of Portland, the Oregon Child Development Coalition, Proud Ground, and the Salem-Keizer Coalition for Equity. So we're all here to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month in the state of Oregon in the United States. It's a time to honor the contributions that Hispanic people have made to our great state and to our great country. To kick off breakfast, we want to welcome a few special guests. Our first speaker of the morning is currently a policy advisor to Governor John Kitzhaber and serves as the Director for Diversity, Inclusion, and Affirmative Action in the Office of the Governor. Mr. Frank Garcia, is also owner-partner of Garcia and Associates, LLC, a consulting firm focused on diversity and inclusion, workforce development, multicultural communications, and leadership development. Mr. Garcia is a native Oregonian whose parents are from South Texas. After years of following migrant streams, they settled in Dayton, Oregon in the early 1960s. Mr. Garcia was raised in Dayton and graduated from Dayton High School, class of 1983. Mr. Garcia has a BA in sociology from Portland State University and a master's degree in higher education administration from New York University. Over the past 20 years, Mr. Garcia's professional experience in both private and the public sector has focused on diversity and inclusion, organizational change management, policy research and development, human resources, multicultural communications, and public relations. Most recently, Mr. Garcia has served as the Director for Diversity and Inclusion for the Oregon State Bar and led and implemented a system-wide vision and strategic plan for the OSB, increasing diversity from the bench to the bar within the state of Oregon. Mr. Garcia also served as the Executive Recruitment and Diversity Manager for the state of Oregon from 1999 to 2003, and in 2007 completed an appointment with Secretary of State Bill Bradbury implementing the Help America Vote Act. Mr. Garcia has dedicated much of his free time towards student identity and leadership development through civic engagement and service learning for nonprofit organizations, i.e. the Miracle Theater Group, the Oregon Council for Hispanic Advancement, and the Oregon Latino Voter Registration Education Project, an organization he and Anthony Velis founded, which has registered over 40,000 Hispanics to vote in the state of Oregon since 1995. Mr. Garcia is married to Leslie Garcia, and they have two girls, Brianna, age 6, and Isabella, age 3. They also have a dog, a 10-pound Doxy Poo named Bonita, and they reside in Wilsonville, Oregon. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Frank Garcia, Jr.
Thank you, Mario. Thank you, comunidad. ¿Cómo están? Saludos y buenos días. Es mi honor y placer dar la bienvenida de parte del gobernador John Kitzhaber en esta ocasión muy importante donde celebramos la herencia de los hispanos. I am part of the governor's policy team and serve as the Director for Diversity, Inclusion, and Affirmative Action. Also here today representing the governor are Cheryl Myers, Director of Economic and Business Equity, And our team, Serena Boston, Bill Tolbert, and Joy Howard. Give them a round of applause, representing the governor. This being the start of Hispanic Heritage Month, I'd also like to recognize both Danny Santos and Lydia Muniz, who served our previous governor and numerous governors with honor and distinction. Are you here? Please stand. Please stand. Give them a round of applause. We thank you for your service, mentorship, leadership, and we stand on your shoulders. I also want to recognize my good friend Anthony. Anthony and I go back some 25 years now. Can you believe it, Tony? And we met at Portland State when we were a little more edgy, a little angry about things, and somehow we cooled out, and but still keep pushing forward. But we were instrumental in developing what is today the Chicano Latino Studies program at Portland State. Go Vikings! Go Latino Studies program, Chicano Latino at Portland State. And the Oregon Latino Voter Project, which has registered over 40,000 people since 1995, Latinos here in Oregon, to get them to participate. So we thank Tony. You put this together, your vision, you bring people together. It's been a great partnership. We'll continue to move forward. So un aplauso a Anthony Vélez. The governor sends his regrets as he is currently on a business mission in Asia. He is on this mission because he understands how challenging our economy is. And his first priority is to put Oregon residents back to work. It is our office's goal that the meetings currently taking place in Asia will lead to the creation of new jobs for our state. His sincerest gratitude to the Hispanic community for all the contributions and service made to our great state. He also recognizes the relationship and influence of the Hispanic community has on our local economy, and will continue to direct much of our efforts and resources on student preparation and academics as we look to equip all our children with the tools needed to thrive in the rapidly changing global and service economy. In addition, he continues to discuss and research restoration of driving privileges for all Oregon residents. The governor understands that Oregon's future has become increasingly dependent on the Hispanic community's social and economic success. Now, as most people know, I tend to drag my feet in giving up the mic. And since I'm relatively new in my new role with the governor, I thought I'd take this opportunity to shed a little light on who I am, my life experiences, and perspective that I bring to this office of the governor. So my name is Frank Garcia IV, and I am an Oregonian. My grandparents and parents were migrant workers from South Texas, and they began migrating to Oregon to harvest crops in the late 50s. My parents finally settled in Dayton a decade later. Now, if you don't know much about Dayton, allow me to conjure up an image. It is a small town about 22 miles northwest of here, nestled in the Willamette Valley, on the way toward your favorite Pinot Noir. Like many small towns off the beaten path in my era, we were very resourceful. We needed everyone if we were going to succeed. And we all largely did our best to get along and tended not to gripe too much about our own circumstances. However, from a social class standpoint, you did find two classes of folks in our town: those who own the farm and those who work the farm. You can probably guess the class of folks I represent. affirmed by the perspective of la lucha, aka the struggle, I offer today. So now that you're listening, let me draw you just a little bit closer. Let me share a conversation with you that I had with my mom in our kitchen over 30 years ago. She's washing dishes, and I'm doing homework at the kitchen table. Mommy, why do we live here? In Oregon? In Dayton? She stops her washing. Her head drops for a moment and then collects herself and looks over to me and says with pride, Mijo, we live here because this is where your dad has a job, and we own this house. It was a small 800 square foot low-income home that was always well cared for and always clean. But we're so different from everyone else. We're Mexican American. And the people around here, they don't like us so much. Yes, mijo, there are some people here who don't like us very much. But there are others who are very nice, and they do like us bastante. Because you are Mexican American, and there are few of us, some negative things will seek you out. And that's why I pray for us every day. How you handle yourself in those situations will say everything about you and our family to this community. Our family's reputation is everything. So when you get knocked down or run into things that are meant to hurt you, you get back up, you hold your head up high, and extend your hand. Can we just go back to Texas where we're from? I just want to fit in. By this time, I had already experienced the hardships of a migrant worker, been sent home from kindergarten for speaking Spanish, kept from going on my third grade field trip to the zoo because I talked too much. Oh, wait a minute, I probably earned that one. Made fun of my classmates because I was on the school lunch program, endured numerous racial and ethnic slurs, and wore homemade clothes to school. Oh yeah, I was styling. Mijo, I know it's hard. La vida es dura. So you want a better life? Well, here are your choices that I've already made for you. You need to fit in. You need to pray to Diosito. You need to be an example for your younger brothers. You need to work hard. You need to be respectful. You need to help others. You need to learn to read, write, and speak English well. Get good grades and graduate from both high school and college. And oh, don't be making me a grandma anytime soon. This became the Garcia Credo. After obtaining my degree from Portland State, go Vikings, go Vikings. And after several years of solid work experience, I found myself at NYU pursuing a master's degree. It is there that I and those around me realized I had experienced a few things out here in Oregon. To where my faculty advisor once asked, Garcia, what type of water are you drinking out there in Oregon? Because, man, you're hard. Isn't that ironic? Big city folks found the Latino country boy from Oregon hard, not the other way around. I replied, I think I've been drinking 30 years of exclusion. Today, I have the honor and distinction of serving as an advisor to the governor. I'm a blessed family man with a wonderful wife, Leslie, and two beautiful girls, Brianna and Isabella. And I'm now challenged with upholding and passing on the legacy and character of our family name and credo by living as our parents live while advocating for civil rights, justice, dignity, and social empowerment through professional and personal endeavors. Our family believes these lofty goals are within our reach. Like many families who are and grew up poor, material things are not easily attainable. So in many cases, we willingly forego them. However, we must not forego social empowerment. Yet it continues to be but a distant dream for many in our community. We cannot afford to relent. To quote Dr. King, I am not interested in power for power's sake, but I am interested in power that is moral, that is right, and that is good, end quote. We are all Oregonians, and as our diversity grows, this room is what Oregon will look and feel like. I extend the hand of partnership and solidarity as we strive to advance the social empowerment of all Oregonians. By doing so, I believe we can create an inclusionary Oregon, a state that fully embraces and harnesses all the talents and cultural practices of our increasingly diverse community through its laws, practices, and culture. As for my mom and dad, well, they still reside in that same house that I grew up in and continue to lead the Garcia Credo in that wonderful little town of Dayton. They are now heroes to several generations. And on this day of celebrating our Hispanic heritage, I am so proud to say that they are here with us this morning. Mom and Dad, Frank and Susana Garcia, could you please stand? I'd like to recognize you. Thank you for your love, your guidance, and the Garcia Credo. Because today I am a proud Oregonian and feel so blessed that we stayed. And all the other parents that come from migrant streams from the 50s and 60s, you should stand because we stand on your shoulders. I thank you for your contributions, your leadership, your respect. We need to recognize that generation, those migrants, on this important day as we launch this Hispanic Heritage Month, this wonderful month. I said Oregonians. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. God bless. Peace.
Our next guest gets to follow Frank Garcia Jr. Lucky her. Our next guest took office on January 11th, 2011, and is serving her first term as the mayor of Salem. She has been a leader in business, civic, and community organizations in the city of Salem for over 25 years. She attended Roosevelt High School in Portland, Oregon, and received a Bachelor's of Science degree in journalism from the University of Oregon. Mayor Peterson is married to Edwin Peterson, the former Chief Justice of the Oregon Supreme Court. She is a strong proponent of public safety, and she co-founded and was a 3-year chair of No Meth, Not in My Neighborhood, served 4 years on the Oregon Criminal Justice Commission, chaired the governor's meth task force, and was on the Oregon Medical Association amphetamine task force. Please join me in welcoming Mayor Anna Peterson.
Good morning, everyone. I am so thrilled to be here. Thank you to those who have organized today's program to include me and to offer me an opportunity to be able to say a few words. However, I think, Mr. Garcia, I've learned a lesson today, and that is try to get on the program ahead of Mr. Garcia. Excellent, excellent remarks. I'd like to share quickly about me, since Mr. Garcia did set that as a wonderful way for us to talk with you. You know, people don't know very much about my background because I didn't grow up in Salem. But my mother was an immigrant to this country. She spoke English, but I had years of witnessing her loneliness and her feeling of isolation. So if any of you have experienced that, I tell you, it is hard. I know it's hard. I want Salem to be a community where you feel welcome and included and know that we are a city where you can succeed, where you can prosper, where you can involve yourself and your family in the life of our civic duties here. So that's a little about my background. I am older than Mr. Garcia, so when I was in school at Portsmouth Grade School, we didn't have the school lunch program, but we really did, because when I didn't have the 35 cents for lunch, my teacher would just slip me a ticket. That was the school lunch program in the early 50s. Thank God she did that, because sometimes that was the only meal that day. But you know, that helps me to understand and to really know firsthand the importance of a job, the importance of that stability. And that's why jobs is my #1 platform as your mayor. We focus on that at the City of Salem, and we will work hard to bring more jobs to Salem, to keep jobs in Salem for all people. Crucially, crucially important. I want to take a minute to recognize the City of Salem employees who are here today, which is really my privilege as a volunteer mayor to work with professional staff every day. Would everyone from City of Salem please stand? The city offers tremendous career and professional positions, and I want you to be thinking about that as you think about your own future. The city is a wonderful place to work. We have jobs that range from everything from public works to the finance department to the police and fire departments, which are great jobs, great career path jobs, so do think about that. I want to say something about voter registration. When I was running for mayor, I was advised by several people who are not of color, who said, when we planned our door-to-door campaign, well, you don't need to go to North Salem because people there aren't registered to vote, people there might not vote for you anyway, don't waste your time there. Well, I thought that was a pretty good gauntlet to throw down, because I wanted everybody to vote for me. So you know what we did? We went out into those neighborhoods all across this community, over in West Salem, South Salem, East Salem, North Salem. We went out with voter registration forms, but not just in English. We carried them in Spanish. We registered a lot of people to vote because we believe fundamentally on my campaign that really at the heart of it, it doesn't matter who you vote for. Just vote, get engaged, be a part of the planning and the future for this community. So I encourage all of you, and we can all carry those voter registration forms, right? We can all carry them. You can get them in English and in Spanish. Carry them with you, 2 or 3. You see somebody, you're talking with somebody, and they say, well, I'm not registered to vote. You're going to be ready. You're going to register that voter. So I just wanted to share that with you. As I went door to door all over this community, I learned another thing that was very important. We are an international city. We have people here who have put their finger on a map and said, I'm going to live in Salem, Oregon, and they have moved here from Poland, from India, from South American countries, from Asian countries, from European countries. They have put their finger on the map, they have said this is home, and they have brought vitality and energy and determination and a love of freedom. And I want to tell you, we are a stronger city I believe, than anywhere else because of that. And so I rejoice for that, and I want you to know that every day I am mindful of the tremendous resources that we have in this community because people of color have moved here, because people of various religions have moved here, because people of various ethnicities have moved here. And many have been here for generations. That's a wealth that our city enjoys. It truly is an honor to be here this morning and to talk to you and to welcome you to this wonderful, wonderful beginning of Hispanic Heritage Month. Thank you.
Our next, Our next speaker served as Chief Nursing Officer in Tucson, Arizona, before joining Salem Health in the same capacity. Please help me in welcoming Marty Enriquez.
Buenos días y bienvenidos. Me da mucho gusto estar aquí con ustedes hoy. On behalf of Salem Health, today's gold sponsor, it's a privilege and honor for me to have this opportunity to address you today as we begin to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. Salem Health joins you in honoring the many Hispanic pioneers who helped shape this valley and our country. I'd also like to thank the various leaders of the Hispanic community and everyone here today who celebrates the richness of this valley's multicultural communities. I've only been in Salem with my family since January of this year. I was born in Arizona, lived there most of my life, served time in the Peace Corps, was there for 22 years prior to coming here, and was the chief nursing officer at University Medical Center for 14 years. When I came to Salem Hospital for my interview and tour, I have to tell you how impressed I was when I walked the halls of the hospital and saw all of the signage in Spanish and in English. It told me a lot about the hospital. It told me a lot about the community that we live in, and it gave me a sense of comfort and commitment to the Hispanic community that we serve. Thanks to the Salem Health team for their commitment and dedication to cultural diversity, and a special thanks to our Hispanic employees. Many of them are pioneers as well, the first in their families to reach the goal of a healthcare career. And they are among unsung heroes in helping Salem Health connect personally and individually with the Hispanics in our valley. In my short time here, I've already experienced being a patient at the hospital. In May of this year, I spent 8 days in the hospital and experienced firsthand the quality care we have here. From the housekeepers to the food service staff to the nurses' aides and nurses who cared for me who were Hispanic, I felt a sense of pride, and I learned about their personal journeys and their struggles. The care and compassion that they showed me and my family during this difficult time still stirs a lot of emotion in me and makes me feel grateful that we have these employees working for us. Salem Health is honored to serve this community, and our desire is to provide the highest level of service to you and your families. Achieving that goal means developing cultural understanding among our staff and supporting growing diversity on our team. And it has to be a partnership. This means understanding that Salem Health is vested in you, and you are vested in Salem Health. Several of our programs are set to increase the number of multicultural staff in our workforce. We hope to encourage youth to go to school and help people in entry-level jobs transition into professional careers. For example, we've developed a program where we take people and train them as certified nursing assistants. We've also trained them to become certified translators. It's something we did because we just didn't have enough translators. And we understand that we absolutely have to mirror the community that we serve at all levels of our organization. My first few weeks here, I attended the graduation of 6 of our CNAs who were also graduating as translators. They were so proud of their achievements, and I was as well. Their families were there to help them celebrate, and it was obviously a moment of tremendous pride for them and their families. We're continuing our work to help Hispanics improve health and well-being through our educational outreach programs. Our Community Health Education Center, we call it the CHEC, offers many health education resources in Spanish, including hundreds of health topics online. Additionally, a lot of our staff speak Spanish and do those programs as well. We've also just hired a new diversity manager who starts next month and who has the experience, the education, and the passion that we need to help us serve our various cultures better than we have in the past. And I'm pleased to say that we also have an excellent foundation that's been able to offer scholarships to our employees who want to continue in healthcare careers. So our CNAs can become nurses, our housekeepers can become CNAs, and then think about nursing school or other healthcare careers. Thank you so much for coming today and for showing your support. I look forward to this community. So far, we're very happy and we don't mind the rain.
Our next speaker is the chair of the Oregon Commission on Hispanic Affairs, one of 4 advocacy commissions created by state statute. She is the highest-ranking non-elected and non-staff Hispanic official in the state of Oregon. A social justice advocate and a communication specialist, Andrea Cano has served the people in the state as the executive director of the Oregon Farm Worker Ministry, summit director for the Oregon Latino Agenda for Action, consultant to multicultural, ecumenical, and interfaith organizations, and as a professional medical and legal interpreter. Her international work has taken her to over 30 countries, including many in Latin America and the Spanish-speaking Caribbean. Originally from California, she lived in Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico, and Quito, Ecuador, before settling in Oregon in 1999. She is a former Robert F. Kennedy Fellow and a recipient of numerous international, national, and regional awards for her work. Recently conferred a Master of Divinity from the Pacific School of Religion in Berkeley, California, she begins her chaplaincy residency at Providence Medical Center in Portland, September 2011. Please join me in welcoming Andrea Cano.
There, thank you. Feels like you're in the pulpit sometimes here. I thank you for being here. You're going to hear that over and over again. And as I look out, I'm saying, this is comunidad, this is familia, this is who we are. And the core issue or core principle of who we are is essentially expressed here this morning. And I want to tell you, it's been absolutely phenomenal to work with Anthony Veliz and Jose Gonzalez. I mean, this is like the Holy Trinity. Wait for the, the lightning to strike. It has been great. But we know that this is going to continue year after year, and we want more partners and want support. And it's just, we'll probably need a bigger place, Anthony, I think next year. I bring you greetings on behalf of the Commission, and you're going to meet some of our Commission members here. I'm not going to tell you all that the Commission is about because you've got that sheet right there on your table. And it really explains about what we are mandated. But I did want to just kind of highlight a little bit of what we did the last session, because I think it's really important that during the last legislative session, the strategic work of our commission and with our legislative allies kept the Arizona-type anti-immigrant proposals from being considered. That was a phenomenal effort, folks. We also endorsed, and some of our allies are in this room as well. OCHA also endorsed and provided testimony for the multicultural competency requisite for healthcare providers, tuition equity, extending equal pay and protection against workplace discrimination and harassment, monitored state budget sessions, and initiated legislation that would prioritize public safety in establishing the new criteria for driver's license. I'm going to tell you a little bit how that happened, but I want to tell you that that's going to come back. And we're going to need everyone's help in that. And we've got some phenomenal new allies and stakeholders in that part. My work as chair, is a shared responsibility. I know since my election at the end of June, I've had amazing conversations with a lot of the governor's cabinet, state legislators, agency heads, and I did want to tell you that Secretary of State Kate Brown would be here, but she had been scheduled out to do something else, but she would have loved to have been here. And you know she is a good friend of the Latino community. But I want to share with you who's sitting at our table. Our commissioners are appointed by the governor, and we serve under certain mandates and under certain procedures and policies. Our vice chair, and I want our folks to stand and remain standing, the vice chair of OCHA is John Haroldson. You met before, district attorney for Benton County. A key leader, not only for the state, but nationally, internationally in criminal justice. This is a formidable man and a fabulous commissioner who serves with us. So thank you, John. Stay standing. Stay standing. Lupita Mar. Did she have to leave? Oh, she's just stepped out. Well, we'll introduce her in about a minute. The commissioners who are not here include Gil Carrasco, and you have to know that Gil Carrasco is a professor of law at Willamette University, School of Law. He's a constitutional lawyer. Many of us met him when he was a co-chair of the Cesar Chavez Jr. Boulevard process, and he has been absolutely key in the brains and the legal acumen to create the wording for the driver's permit legislation. He worked with Senator Chip Shields and Mary Alicia, I want you to stand, who's representing Senator Shields. Senator Shields, as well as Chris Harker, are appointed by their respective speakers, House Speaker as well as Senate Speaker, to serve on OCHA. So that is a very a rich gift for us. Judith Parker is an attorney with Hinshaw Law. Her expertise is immigration law, among other things. So when you think of the amazing wisdom that we have resident in our commission, is just absolutely formidable at this point. Also present is Lucy Baker, our administrator of the Office for Advocacy Commissions of Oregon. She has said she has to work with 44 people. She oversees also and helps with the other advocacy commissions. And Nancy Kramer, executive assistant. Rolando Cruz was our first intern this past year. So I want to say all of you students out there, follow in Rolando's footsteps to be an intern with OCHA. Two other special people. You've met Betty Comp before, who's a good friend, and from Representative Betty Comp. And I also have Guadalupe Guajardo sitting right there from the Nonprofit Association of Oregon. She's been a part of our partnership with the Oregon Latino Agenda for Action, which actually had their summit here in October and is planning another one in October of 2012. Thank you. We honor a lot of people throughout the state, and you will find that in our public meetings, which we have every 2 months. So you know someone out there that we need to honor officially, please let us know. It is absolutely essential, as we've done today, to continue to recognize and affirm who we are and what we've done for the state of Oregon. One of the people we wanted to honor and who couldn't be with us is our former chair, Jose Ibarra. Jose Ibarra served the OCHA for a good number of years, and the last 3 years as the chair. And he essentially put the face of OCHA out into the community. I think most of you have met him in so many different community events, and he was absolutely catalytic in pulling together various groups of folks that bridged people here and there. I was just looking to see if Lupita had come. No. Okay. We were going to have Jose's face up there? Yes? No? Well, he was also honored officially at our last session meeting on June 29th, electronics, and is very much involved with a lot of political and divergent issues that we are part of. But the best thing that Lupita brings is the net that she casts that's widely, that goes all the way to the White House. So she is our contact with Washington, D.C., and the network of officials and the folks that are in collaboration with us on a number of issues that we are very much involved with. But another part that I also want to kind of look at, and this is about you all here, and I want you to kind of scoot out a little bit from your chairs, and this is only going to take a few minutes because we want to hear from Consul Cuevas and también from Consuelo, but I want you to kind of, this will help you breathe a little bit. We want to see just who is in this room, and you kind of bumped into each other in the foyer, but it's really important because as you leave, we want to see some new connections and new relationships, and that's what's really important. So I want you to stand and then sit down as I say these categories. We want to see you go up and down and kind of look at who's in the room. All right, let's have the elected officials. Thank you. Candidates for office. Okay, here's another. Yeah, that's right. Okay, how about this question? People who would like to be candidates for office. Oh, come on, you know, there's some of you out there. Want to know the county municipal representatives? We know we have Salem. Any other counties and other cities? Find these people, meet them. Federal and international officials, agencies. Well, I know a consul who you will hear for in a little bit. Thank you. Statewide or local organizations who serve Latino communities. There's a lot of you out there. Latino community organizations as well. Yeah, we're here. Here's a really important category. Students and recent graduates. Let's see these students. Recent graduates. People who represent arts and culture. Gracias, welcome. Love it. The area of education, schools, universities, school districts. Where are you? Our fine educators and teachers, administrators. Thank you. People who are involved with health, the health industry, health care provision. Thank you. Workforce and employment. I know some of you out there. Yes, great. Groups dedicated to the work of women, women's role in society. Yes, yes. I would think half of you would be standing up for that one. People who work with youth and children. Yes, yes. Thank you. Business and industry. Great, thank you. Housing. Yes. Banking and finance. Where are the money people? Yes. Transportation. Yes, some people from transportation. Thank you. Judicial and legal systems. Yes. Law enforcement. Yes, thank you. Yes. Religious and spiritual communities. Okay, well, there's some of us. Yes. Guadalupe also belongs to an order of religious women, and we'll have to get your name over there. Did I forget a category? No? We all wear about 17 hats, so I know that. Media and communications, yes. Press, media, writers, yes. Especially those communications directors that tell all of our stories, right? Right. Well, I extend the invitation again to meet one another, to journey one another, to enter into this month, not only Hispanic Heritage Month, but this year with some new initiatives, some new insights, some new collaborations, and ways to do some transformative work in this state. And we all invite you to join OCHA in that effort. We need all of you. This is a shared responsibility. Gracias.
Our next guest was born in the state of Guerrero, Mexico in 1949. He is married to Lucila Arguello and has 2 adult sons, Donatue and Andres. He studied international relations at the National Autonomous University of Mexico's School of Political Science from 1968 to 1972. He is a career diplomat, member of the Mexican Foreign Service since 1973. He has been posted abroad at the Mexican embassies in Nicaragua, Canada, Cuba, Costa Rica, Japan, Guatemala, Chile, Venezuela, as Deputy Chief of Mission. He has also been posted as the General Consulate of Mexico in Houston, Texas, as Deputy Consul, and the Career Consulate in Fresno, California, as Head Consul. At the Department of State of Mexico, he has been head of the Diplomatic Communications Office, head of the Political Division for Central America and Caribbean Affairs, and his most recent posting until November 2008 was Deputy General Director for Consular Affairs and Protection. He arrived in Portland and took office on December 1st, 2008. Please join me in welcoming Enrique Romero Cuevas.
Buenos días tengan todos ustedes. Good morning for all of you. I'm very thankful for being invited to briefly address you in this wonderful celebration of Hispanic heritage. I'm going to spare you of my broken English, and I will speak only in Spanish. And I ask for your permission and forgiveness for doing so. I hope you understand my reasons to do it this way. Pido su comprensión por dirigirme a ustedes en la lengua de Cervantes, que es, a final de cuentas, el elemento clave que define lo que se ha dado en llamar comunidad hispánica en este gran país. Y lo digo con absoluto respeto para quienes lo han perdido, lo han olvidado, pero con plena convicción, porque si revisamos otros elementos que normalmente singularizan a grupos humanos, veremos que tenemos muchas diferencias. Si nos referimos a los rasgos étnicos, entre los hispanos habemos blancos, negros, indígenas y un maravilloso arcoíris de mestizaje. Si nos referimos a la religión, si bien predominan los cristianos católicos, también los hay abundantes de otras denominaciones cristianas, así como musulmanes, judíos y hasta animistas y santeros, además de los agnósticos. En cuanto a los rasgos culturales, encontramos también una enorme gama de variedades y particularidades. De ahí que los mexicanos resultemos distintos de los venezolanos, los argentinos de los guatemaltecos, los panameños de los españoles y así sucesivamente. Las diferencias son la constante, aún al interior de cada uno de nuestros países de origen. Es por ello que la lengua española o castellano es el cemento que cohesiona a los hispanos. No obstante, la existencia de acentos, inflexiones, regionalismos y modismos que afortunadamente hacen aún más rica nuestra lengua materna. Yo los invito a no olvidarla, a recuperarla y a usarla cada vez que sea posible. Y celebrar esta herencia hispánica, ¿qué significa? Para mí, es reconocer y ensalzar las enormes aportaciones que los hispanos han dado y continuarán dando a Estados Unidos, esos ahora 50 millones y medio de personas que representan el 16.3% del total de la población de Estados Unidos, que se identifican como latinos o hispánicos. En Oregón, no menos de 450,000 personas, o 11.7%, pertenecen a esta denominación. Y hay que referirse también al valor agregado que con sus manos y espaldas, con su fuerza y coraje para desarrollar labores verdaderamente agobiantes, aportan los trabajadores del campo, los trabajadores de la construcción, de la pesca, de la industria maderera, por solo mencionar algunos. Pero también los que dan su trabajo en los servicios, en las oficinas, en las universidades, en las escuelas, en el sector salud, los profesionistas y los empresarios que incrementan sus muy visibles y crecientes aportes. Igualmente debemos referirnos a sus aportes a la cultura, con sus infinitas expresiones, ya sea que se hable de literatura, artes escénicas, música, teatro, danza, pintura. En todos estos terrenos encontramos la cada vez más destacada presencia de los hispanos. En todos los terrenos de la vida de esta gran nación, pues, los hispanos o latinos aumentan día a día su vibrante presencia. Esa es, a mi entender, la razón de celebrar este mes de la herencia hispánica con alegría, pero así también con compromiso por un permanente esfuerzo para que se reconozca a plenitud esta realidad y se otorgue a los hispanos el lugar que en la sociedad se han ganado a pulso. Muchas gracias y que vivan los hispanos.
Our next guest is a native Oregonian born in the city of Portland, a founding president of the Latino Business Alliance, the Willamette Valley's Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, president of Tu Casa Real Estate, Oregon's most established Latino-owned real estate company, and recently appointed by the governor to Oregon's Health and Insurance Exchange Board. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Jose Gonzalez.
Muchísimas gracias. Thank you very much. Once again, me llamo Jose Gonzalez. I want to do a real quick exercise, and I think it's going to work great in this room. I want everybody whose family originates from, or is either born or family originates from Central America, South America, Puerto Rico, Dominica Republicana. Can I have everybody stand up who's either born there or family originates from there? Okay, what countries are represented? ¿Quién? Just shout them out. Cuba, Puerto Rico, Peru, Argentina, Nicaragua. Okay. Órale, all right. Okay, how about, ahora sí, everybody who was born in Mexico, párense por favor. Ahora, los estados, what states do you guys represent? Michoacán. Con ganas, a ver. Oaxaca. Jalisco. Guerrero, okay. Michoacán. Morelia. Nayarit. Baja. Okay. Veracruz. Puebla. Oh, el DF. Viva la América. Okay, muchísimas gracias. Okay, now everybody who was born in the U.S. who's Latino or Hispano, who's ever Latino or Hispano that was born in the U.S., just stand up. Okay, now I want you guys to tell, who was first generation? Who's first? Whose parents were born in another country? Okay, now go ahead and drop your hands. Now, second generation, your parents were born here, but not your grandparents. Okay. Who's been here more than that? Whose family's been here more than 2, 3 generations? How many, Mario? 5. 4. 4. Anybody more than that? 5, 6 acá. Okay, muchísimas gracias. Everybody else that didn't stand up, go ahead and stand. No? Okay. You know, I did this for 2 reasons. And I'm a proud volunteer with the Latino Business Alliance. And one of the reasons is to show the diversity amongst ourselves. Very diverse. You know, we're not one group necessarily. And second reason is we've been a part of America's history. We're proudly here today. But we're also going to be part of America's future success. You know, and on behalf of the Latino Business Alliance, can I have the board members and part of the leadership team stand up? Our mission is to support and empower the small Latino-owned businesses in this community. And on behalf of the LBA, we invite you to our event, Expo Negocio. It's in November. You'll all be receiving an invitation. And I guess more than anything, what we're going to do is we're going to share with you the results of that activity we just did. We're going to show you how that translates into business for you, your organization, and of course, your own business. Thank you very much.
Before starting her own company in 1997 and embarking on a new career as a motivational speaker, leadership trainer, and mentor, Consuelo, there's a phonetic spelling that confused me. I already knew how to say it. Consuelo Castillo Kirkbush retired from an illustrious military career with the rank of Lieutenant Colonel in the United States Army. Today, Consuelo travels throughout the United States and abroad, speaking to educators, students, parents, corporations, government agencies, and nonprofit organizations. She has come up a long way from the poor barrio in Laredo, Texas she grew up in. Now the president of a successful and growing business, Educational Achievement Services Incorporated, she has an intense desire to share with others what she has learned along the way. Reaching audiences ranging from students in the barrios in the poorest inner cities of the nation to corporate executives, politicians, educators, and just plain folk, Consuelo provides purpose, hope, and inspiration to all who would hear her message. In whatever you would do in life, she says, the most important thing is to have a mission and a passion for what you do. Before we bring up our keynote speaker, we want you to take a look at this HBO trailer. Is that ready?
Growing up, there was not a lot of people to look up to. My role model growing up was my mom, grandma, my sisters. That's what I wanted to be like.
I was 7 years old when man set foot on the moon. I said, that's what I want to be.
I'm always nervous before I go on stage. The crowd is what gives me the energy. The music is what gives me the energy to be up there.
Regardless the doubters, regardless the questions, regardless the criticism, none of that can be as overwhelming or as challenging as my mom's decision to uproot herself and come to America.
I can't change the color of my skin. You have to unlearn all that crap. And you have to relearn who you are at your core.
I learned to play golf with a tin can and a guava liam that I made a golf club out of it.
It takes a long time for women to feel it's all right to be a chingona.
Regardless of what this country tells you, and the negative images that you see everywhere, we had a big hand in making this country what it is.
Our keynote speaker will be featured in the List documentary we just viewed on HBO on Wednesday, September 28th, so set your TiVos and DVRs. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our passionately effective speaker, retired Lieutenant Colonel Consuelo Castillo Kirkbush.
Voy a quitar este jale que está ahí porque no. Qué orgullo es todavía en un país como es Estados Unidos, a pesar de todos los años, de los sacrificios y las vergüenzas y las humillaciones, el cual estoy en pie y les hablo con gran orgullo, siendo hija de migrante de Monterrey, Nuevo León, el cual les digo con el primer idioma mío, bienvenidos, gracias, y cómo la hice para Oregón. For those of you who are Spanish impaired, allow me, because I'm thankful to the American school system, que a huevo, one way or another, I learned English. And I am proud to say I am a Mexican American. Nobody can argue with me how much I love my country. Eh? Who in the world wants to go freeze their ass somewhere else for democracy? And when they question our loyalty, I only need to look at my own family. Of my 10 brothers and sisters, 8 of us are veterans. Gracias, pero it wasn't easy. Now, I know that we all come from very varied backgrounds, but I want to just say that personally, it is such a joy to see Anthony. He finally got married to the smartest, that means he was smart, because he married the smartest Chicana in Oregon, Melanie. I love you. And you know, the love didn't stop. They got inventory. Right? And they're teenagers. So that tells you how long I've known Anthony. Tantos años, hijo. And he's never wavered, never once wavered from his convictions. And so, hijo mío, I love you, we love you. Take a break tomorrow, pero entrale al jale mañana otra vez, okay? Go back to work. A nuestro lindo embajador, muchas gracias, ¿verdad? I got the pleasure of lecturing en la TEC, como se llama, ¿verdad? And that's real, that's Harvard, folks, eh? No, this man's brilliant. That's the Harvard of Mexico. It really is. You have to have a perfect SAT to get accepted to La Tech. Imagínate this chicanita from el Rincón del Diablo got to lecture there. Pero qué bonito. And to all the speakers who spoke, to my hermanita from Arizona, I love you, manita. Hijo la fregada, and she's gonna fix us up. Amazing. Andrea, wow, how many countries, corazón? Eh? Right, Jose. Oye, are you going to the Real Estate National Conference in Los Angeles? I will, don't act like you don't know me. I'll see you there in 48 hours. ¿Y qué les pareció? El paisano Frank, who told it like it was. Gracias. Wow. And then to have a brilliant young man who inspires, and I probably make some perspire también because he's a counselor. Mario, gracias. I bet you don't slack up on the kids, ¿verdad? No excuses. What is it to be today celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month in Oregon? You know, so often I find myself, I'm so blessed today with my life. I got on my knees. I'm the daughter of a pastor. Yes, not all of us are Catholic. But I was raised in a Catholic community. So where's Sister Guajardo? I love you, manita. There's my paisa from Laredo. Let's give her a big hand for loving all people. Loving all people. Well, you know, I'm the daughter of a pastor. My papi predicaba in the barrio, and he and the father of the local diocese would hang out together. And it was always called curiosidad. But the love of mankind, people kind, is that we're in this room. Not everyone looks like us. And regardless of the reason or the agenda, whatever that may be, I pray that when you leave today, you will take with you, wherever you are taken next, that you'll say, you know what? Wow, we're really in this together. Whether it was the Italians who came to New York or moved their way out west, and the list goes on, Irish, German, are we really all that different? Not really. But hopefully as we tell our story today and as we celebrate the journey, because we're never really done. We're always evolving. And because we are so diverse within our own community, we want to be cognizant and conscientious. And I think that's what Jose was trying to drive to our awareness, is that there are some differences, but there is a common core that ties all of us together. Now, using a humorous approach because, you know, life is too short, folks. La verdad que sí. So let's just relax, sit back, take off your shoes, whatever. And let's go back in time. Yes, I've been blessed to be educated in America, but I really am a summa cum laude graduate of La Chancla Academy. Now, if you don't know what that means, share it with your table mate. Verizon stole it. Right? It's called bonding. The Latino way. What do I mean by that? There were some values that were never negotiable, and they should not be negotiable in this generation today. Because those are the values that have brought us so far, and we need to make sure that we put them in the hearts and the minds of our chavalitos as they go forward. So I'm a storyteller. And when I realize that some of these things are being watered down, it really worries me, and that's why I devote my life particularly to our chavalos, our kids. But imagine, 1995, I'm a scientist by trade. My master's in cybernetics. That's not chironetics, that's freezing dead people. Okay. I look at artificial intelligence and robotics, that's right, Hispanics can do math. Okay? Let's get that straight. Okay? So I'm underground. I'm working in a super secret Star Wars world. For real. Angelina did salt, I lived it. But she got bread, and I didn't. Taruca. I forgive her. But I dealt with these really intellectuals from Berkeley, Harvard, Stanford, and there they were listening to this Chicanita and this wonderful world I lived in. But, you know, one day I come out from underground. Ya no quiero ver tanto jalese. And I'm saying to myself, híjole, and no one knew there was a secret facility, right? And still they shouldn't know. But I came up for air. Y dije, oye, ya, I need to eat. Dije, so where am I going? Taco Cabana. And I'm thinking, because, you know, I don't want to look at linear regression and variable points and correlation and bar charts y que la fregada. I'm thinking, órale, barbacoa, here I come. Release me. And I forget all about who's around me or anything. I'm like, chicharrones. Menudo. And then I see these two young Latino kids, you know, I don't know, maybe about 14, you know. And again, I'm telling you, we gotta be very, very worried about our chavalos. Because there they were, acá con los pantalones acá. Okay, and then one of them was asking if this leg would move. Oye, mijo. And then one of them decided to talk to the other guy in Spanish. Yo creo que he thought, ¿qué pues no entiende ni jota? And he says to the kid, Oye, vato! Mira esa ruca, se! And I knew what that meant because I grew up in el Rincón del Diablo, en Laredo. Pero dije, déjalos que sigan. Let them dig their little grave. Then the other one goes, órale, vato, mira esa ruca, se ve loca, se! Dije, no, I'm not going to accept that. I'm not crazy. And then the other kid, to make it worse, he goes, mira, vato, checa esa ruca, se! Mírala. She looks like a Christmas tree. Yeah, I just finished designing futuristic robotic simulation language identification. And he's got me down to a freaking tree. So all of a sudden I turn around and I said, Buenos dias, hijo. Ah, vato chido, vato chido. Ven para acá. Dije, you know something, mijo? I love you, hijo. Hágame, está bien, don't make a big deal of it. Dije, no, mijito, I love you. ¿Cómo estás? And I gave him my hand. I said, Colonel Consuelo Castillo Queipoz, hijo. Eh? And I'm not a tree. I said, oye, first of all, levántate los pantalones. Put your pants. I don't want to be impressed or depressed. He said, ah, man, you're like funny. Le dije, mijito, come on over here. And I realized then that our young people still need to understand that they're on a journey as well. You agree? But unless we, those before us, like the Garcia family, tell our oral histories and pass on el sacrificio, the tears, the sweat, our young people, what will they hold on to? What will be their reality? And that is why we're here today, because we need to talk more and we need to share more, not just with those who want to understand about our culture, understand how we do business, understand and appreciate all of our history, but we need more than anything to celebrate with our children the entire history. We should not just make it nice and pretty because we don't want to traumatize them. We need to tell them and we need to raise the bar because we know that our children are brilliant. We know they're brilliant. And so we set in motion. And so here's this young homeboy, you know, and he's really listening to me and he says, Miss, it's que, you know, Miss, like, you know, I don't know. No, I don't know. Somebody needs to know. He said, wow, Miss, it's like, for real, Miss, like, what you doing in the hood? ¿Qué es eso? Dije, bueno, back when I was growing up, hijo, se llamaba barrio. Dije, you know, mijito, I am you. Nah, Miss, you're rich. Dije, no, hijo, I'm successful. I'm not rich in money. I'm rich in the things I want you to be rich in. He said, what do you mean, Miss? He said, listen to this story. Growing up on the third to the last street in the United States, I had one foot in Mexico and another foot in el barrio Rincón del Diablo. And then there were all these other kids that, you know, they didn't even know where I was from. And they brought ham sandwiches with white bread. Eh? And I brought tacos, and I don't know why I got this idea. I had to wrap them up in a paper bag. Now there's 1 trillion of them being sold. That little Chihuahua, Mugroso, from Taco Bell, he's wealthier than most of us. I forgive him too. But there I went to school, and I thought, you know, que no vea mi taquito because, you know, and then I'm trying to barter and trade because somehow I got idea that white bread was good. I don't know who taught me that stuff. I said, but you know, mijito, I want you to be rich in the things that really matter in life. First, you cannot understand where you're going until you've understood where you have been. And so here, Papi de Monterrey, Nuevo León, Mexico, and he's raising these 10 kids on $400 a month. And if you're 55 to 65, you know what that means. And people are shocked at how they manage to do it. Why are they shocked? Because they've never had to suffer. And that's why I say to children, don't be ashamed que vienes de aquí. Are you kidding? You're a millionaire in waiting. The only missing is el pinche papelito. That's all that's getting between you and brilliance in reality. I said, look at who you come from. You come from parents that they would take anything and make what? A million things out of it. Tupperware, please. We are the pioneers. No tires esa de la mantequilla porque la usan para el arroz. Ese bote, nomás quítale la tapa. Hale hoyos. Put holes on it. It's a good shower head. What are you talking about? I said, well, I work for Fortune 10. I love them because they pay me very well. And I take the money. And they said, well, we want you to talk about creativity and innovation and team building. Really, they don't get along. Wow, mira, send them to my barrio. With $10, we'll all talk to them. We want you to help us think outside the box. Are you kidding? Most of us grew up without the box. We've been thinking our whole freaking lives. Right? We know how to negotiate. ¿Qué traes tú? Okay. ¿Te doy? ¿Te doy? Perfect. We're done. We didn't have to write contracts. Our word was our bond. That's what we were rich in. We were rich in cumpliendo. We always finish where we started. But here I am, Papi's excited porque voy a la escuela. I'm going to school. And there's my teacher. My inglés está bien limitado. But I learned that one word, by the way, this word gets you everywhere. Eh? Just look, just go, okay. Doesn't matter. It'll just open doors. So I'm in first grade, right? La maestra, man, imagine, this is my first day. I'm the first in my family. And the teacher says, class, we're gonna learn our names. Yeah, I have to learn to my translator because we are tribal. We're not cheating. We're tribal. Oye, ¿qué dijo la vieja? Y se Consuelo, que ahorita vas a ir al pizarrón and you're gonna write your name in the board. Okay. And it worked. The next thing, she said, I will call your name. When I call your name, please rise. Go immediately to the board and begin writing your name. We have learned to put our letters together. ¿Qué dijo? Que cuando te llamen, hombre, que brinques. Okay. And sure enough, the moment of truth. Consuelo Castillo. Y que brinco. Presente, maestra, para servirle. And she wasn't used to all of that sort of flair. She goes, just go to the board. Que te muevas. And she, now wait a minute, young lady, just a second. Okay. Your name from now on will be Connie. Yeah. I put the chalk down, so yo no soy Connie de nada. Okay. Oh my God, imagínense en el lío que me metí. she got this big note. She said, I will not have that kind of attitude or behavior in my classroom. She wrote to the principal this long, long letter. All I said was, okay. And then she stapled it like 50 times, like if I could read. And then, folks, I have been in the most sensitive, super secret assignments. I've never had this kind of security. She said, go see the principal. So I went. And you know, the reason so many of our children across schools where they are the emerging population and why it is so important to have young role models like Mario and others. If the school districts who are here today, please do take this to heart. Our children need to see the entire spectrum of our contribution. So let's bring teachers and counselors, and yes, let's have principals in schools where our children can say, one day, I'm going to be that. It's so important for us. Trust me, we have fought everybody else's problems around the world, whether we do it through missionary means or we do it through the promotion of democracy. Democracy begins at home. And there is no greater democracy for future generations unless they are properly educated. There's no greater democracy than that. That's what it means. Let's educate all children. Because you know, folks, I don't care what color we are. If the children in the next 20 years do not become to their real potential, China, where the governor's at right now, China will come and run this country. Let's get real. So let's just get beyond the whether or not I feel like it. It is imperative for us, all of us, to promote America's children through their true potential. And so in that moment, the principal says to me, she was very nice, and she's very sweet, and she says, what is wrong with Connie? And I answered her, I don't know because I don't know her. She said, ay, Dios mío. Le dije, ¿le puedo hablar español, maestra? Le dije, sí, hija, ¿qué pasa? ¿Por qué no quieres este nombre? Mira, son menos letras. Es less letras. Le dije, mire, Miss, le voy a explicar yo, ¿está bien? She goes, yes, go ahead and tell me, what is it? And at that moment, I brought the suffering of my mother. I am so touched to see that hospitals are here, willing to understand that sometimes suffering can be so unbearable, like depression in our community, that we don't even want to say it is that. That was my mother's secret. Acute depression. But when you got all these other demons, poverty, discrimination, isolation, alienation, the last thing you want to do is be vulnerable to your own family and say, I can't function today. And so I knew that changing the name that was given to me by a woman who suffered so much, my mom, Consuelo, of their names, because somehow they feel that's going to give them an edge. Our beauty to ourselves as human beings is what Benito Juárez said, el respeto. To respect. And so I said to my beautiful principal, mire, I can be Connie. If I go home Connie, I won't live to see second grade. So no la riegue. And she realized then the importance of who we are. And she wrote a note to the teacher, and she handed it to me, and I said, Miss, don't forget, click, 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 click. And she said, I trust you. So I see sometimes as we tell our stories, whether we're dealing in business, the normal thing is to get to the point, to decide there's a decision or not. But many of us who come from these backgrounds, we want to get to know you. We want to first find out how your family's doing. We want to learn about what your day was like. And I know if you're in business and you come from that sort of background, it is driving you up the freaking wall. And then you insult us and say, well, I didn't come here for any of that. Can we make a decision? Ooh. ¿Sabes qué? The meeting's done. I don't want to buy from you. I don't want to go there. I don't want to deal with you. Muchas gracias. So it's important as we communicate that we learn about each other. And for our community, we really genuinely care about your whole being before we care about what you're selling. So take a moment to relate at that level. Now, I know some of you are type A's, come from backgrounds where you're not emotionally expressive. I'm married to one of them, okay? But there's hope. But meet us halfway. Meet us halfway. That's why I love working with the big companies in areas of marketing and inclusion. We don't all think in the same manner. We do not relate in the same manner. But what we do need to do is expand our horizons and bring others along by embracing the beauty of those differences. And so for me, growing up in Laredo, it was a beautiful world, and yet it was a sad world. I lived on the other side of the railroad tracks, in El Rincón del Diablo, and I remember that my father's love for Mexico never wavered. And I think it's unfair when we ask people to strip away that one can only be or over the other, and that's not true. That is why we're here today this month, ladies and gentlemen, dating them, not at the expense of anything else. And that's what makes us one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. But imagine our perception. Why did we come to Oregon? Why did we accept that this was the only place where life could be better? For my parents, it was Sterling, Illinois. Imagine 4 kids in ese friazo. I mean, it was cold. I wasn't there, my brothers were. No coats. My father is knocking on the doors of someone who said they might rent them a room. There's no room at the inn. And the only thing that the steel company agreed to do for thousands of Hispanics in the 1940s was give them a house in a boxcar. It is known as the boxcar settlement. That is why Chicano Studies closes those gaps. And people ask me all the time, why do you people still have a need to get along? We've come a long way. Maybe so, but as long as history has these gaps, and as long as American history does not include every aspect of every person's journey, we have no other choice than to give our children, whether through Chicano Studies or other means or oral history, a sense of connection of the entire journey. And in Sterling, Illinois, finally, in the last 5 years, they have put a photo in the museum. They commissioned an artist to depict the boxcar where all those families lived, some for as long as 15 years. You didn't know that, did you? And you won't find it in American history. But Marilyn Monroe's got 14 pages. What does that tell you? Who wrote those books? I got to tell my kid to take the SAT. But where was that SAT? And where was the intellectual capital by which they went in to decide on what is a proper question to measure intelligence? These are the things that I ask all of us to provoke ourselves today. We can have a good time, folks. We can party, we're going to sing, we're going to dance, and we're going to celebrate. And those are wonderful experiences. But I want us to dig deeper today. So deeper today in our consciousness that if our subconsciousness and our consciousness will be at the forefront of what we do from this day forward. That we ask ourselves when we test our children, when we ask ourselves when we provide health care for all families in this great place of Oregon, that we ask ourselves, how are we doing it? And why is it that way? And the SAT, for example, does not include all our intellectual history. These are things that we need to ask ourselves. And I hope people like Frank and others who sit at the table, Andrea, that we ask ourselves, what is wrong with this picture? But more so would be all of you, regardless of background, as we heard from our beloved mayor. What is wrong with this picture? Let's fix it. Why would I not go to that neighborhood? Why would I not do a translation in Spanish? Let me go against the norm and ask. That's what Hispanic Heritage Month should be doing. It's a moment for us to think collectively. And so through at 12 years old, here's my mommy with her secret, raising her children, having come back from Illinois. Daddy gets a heart attack at 38, has 5 more before he dies at 83. I know what it's like to wear the cardboard shoes. I know what it is to have the clothes from the thrift store. I know what it is to experience abuse. But what I know is that I'm still standing. And you're still standing. And look at you. You're wearing suits. You got titles. But you know something, folks? It doesn't matter that we can put $2,000 on us today. It's important that we don't feel like $1.99. Let's not look at someone for what they're wearing or who they are. The lady who served me today, do you know their name? Her name's Leslie. She served me today. I got to know Leslie. She was so nice. She even brought me the Diet Pepsi I was looking for. It's called dignity and friendship. That's what it's about. Those people in those yesterdays who had no choice, they stood firm that someday, by the grace of God, we would be together in this room, having a good time, but also thinking consciously. And so at 12 years old, I get hit with the biggest reality lesson of my life. My mommy says, "Vas a ir al pueblo." And sister, you know what that means, uptown, ¿verdad? En la plaza. And my mother, I'm getting ready to step out, and I'm thinking, órale, freedom, without the jefa watching me. And man, that didn't last very long. She said, y no vayas a hacer nada, porque acuérdate que lo que tú hagas lo pagamos todos. Don't you dare mess up, because what you do, all 2,000 of us will pay for it. Have a good day. That's the kind of message we need to instill in our children. That what they do, how they achieve, is not just because we want them to, but because that is the standard. And so for me, I make it uptown, and wow, I see cars, and they're moving. I've never seen so many cars that never move. Like in my barrio. And they got little houses for these cars. They're called garages. And the house was made of brick, like in the Little Pigs. And I see grass. Man, grass. That stuff you can fall down easily on. And then I meet a beautiful woman. She looked, so gorgeous. Just like my manita Marty, ¿verdad? She was beautiful. She was so poised. And she had pearls. I've never seen anybody with pearls in my life. And she smelled real good. You know, kind of like Coco Chanel. But mommy smelled like cilantro now. And she's talking to me because, guess what? I'm observing her. And she speaks beautiful English. Young lady, now where do you live? And that's what I'm trying to instill in us today. We will never be perfect. And we can never deny that we come from Arizona or from South Texas. And I went up to that lady here. Buenas tardes, señora. Me llamo Consuelo. Vengo del Rincón del Diablo. I'm Consuelo. I'm from the devil's den. And she moved to the other end of the bed. She spoke apathetic, sympathetic, empathetic. Was one of those pathetics. And she said something I never heard in my life. Oh my, you poor child. ¿Y qué me dijo? So I went home to my barrio. There in that beautiful place, among the orange trees, the peach trees, looking at my father voltear la papa, looking at him put a little fence around el tomate, looking at him at his chiles serranos, and now, again, they stole it from us. They call it organic food. ¿Cómo está la cosa? And I ran up into this beautiful oasis, surrounded by beauty, the perro. Mine was very creative, Frank. Boy, how creative. The chickens with the eggs, y papi's there with his burnt hands from being up north. And he said, Chelito, ¿qué pasó? I said, papi, fui allá, uptown. He said, ¿y qué pasó? They know us. They know everybody aquí en la familia. He said, ¿cómo que nos conoce? And my father thought, pues quizás le trabajé a esa familia. Maybe I work for some of these families. He said, no, papi, they know everybody. He said, ¿qué te dijo la señora? What did the lady say? ¿Está listo? Are you ready? Sí. We are poor. Okay, ¿qué? Dije, sí, you didn't even know it? You see, I learned what it is to have ganas. It is such a hard word to translate to corporate America. It goes beyond the manuals and the training and the mentoring. Ganas is sentiment. It's un sentimiento that we have, what makes us extremely valuable to anyone that we work with. Because my father said these words on that given day, by which I've lived, intrinsically, body, soul, and spirit. He said, mijita, tú no eres pobre. You're not poor. Tú eres rica. You're rich. Rica en valores. You're rich in values. Rica en tradiciones, hija. You know your traditions. Y rica en fe en un Dios tan grande, hija. I've taught you to have faith in a God. Y haber nacido en este lindo país, hija. And to be blessed to be born in this country. A mí no me digas tú. Don't you dare tell me. Que porque tú te crees ahora pobre, because you think of yourself as poor, vas a comportarte pobremente, pensar pobremente. How dare you now want to justify to me that because you think you're poor, you can act poorly, behave poorly, or think poorly. Aquí no hay ningún pobrecito. And that's what this month is about. It's not about arrogance. It's not about showing somebody in their face, but it's about reminding us that if we didn't have these ganas, if we didn't have this willingness to live in a boxcar without windows, if we didn't have it in us to let those ugly names and ugly things happen and us say, this too shall pass. That is what this is about. And that the suffering was not in vain. Now we are in a hotel. We're wearing coats and ties. And so as I begin to close, we have come a long way. But there is still one family somewhere that just landed here. There is still one or more or thousands that may come for the same reason of Guatemala. I understand what is the tipping point by which a person from within their own community could take someone else's life. I understand that. And part of that is a lack and feeling of hope. And so we are here now. There's no reason for us to be classist, to be elitist, to somehow think that they couldn't possibly relate to me, porque apenas llegaron. We all came here at one time or another. And so for me, I had it all, okay? I made it. I'm the American dream. I've got the car made from Germany. I don't know who told me that it was had to be from Germany. I don't know dónde vino ese jale. I had the clothes in the closet that I was never going to wear. I don't know, because I was still feeding the poor little girl. Do you see what I'm saying? And I had every credit card that spelled my name right. And I had it all. Until my mother said to me in San Jose, California, in 1987, she said, Chelo, I'm dying. I said, ay, mami, you die every Thursday? ¿Qué quiero ahora? She said, I'm dying, hija. Y no quiero morir en vano. Que todo lo que he pasado llega bien, hija. Empezando contigo. Let my life not be a waste. Let my life have some merit, starting with you. ¿Sabes, hija? Que en el barrio un niño mató a otro. Are you aware that this little boy killed another little boy back in our community? ¿Y tú? ¿Te puede? ¿Does it bother you? No, ¿verdad? ¿Y más nada? ¿Qué más quieres, hija? Why are you in this race? ¿Quieres ser qué? The most important one. Está bien, hija. Te deseo éxito. Pero tu propósito es el que quiero que cambies. I want you to have success. Don't get me wrong. It is your purpose. I want you to change. She flew home and she died 2 weeks later. The village is crying. And I gave it all. And it's not easy to go into business selling hope. No bank would ever bankroll me. So I took everything I ever saved and mortgaged it. And today, we've reached 1 million children. Over 3,000. Wherever you're at, whether it's chief of nursing, going to inspire and mentor others, whether it's our district attorney advocating for fairness, whether it's our counselor telling our kid that advanced honors is the way, and it's every single one of us in this room going to make America stronger and better. Not bitter, but better. Because America is worth still being what it is. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for allowing me to come to Oregon. I love you.